What's going on, everybody? This is Randall Hamilton here from the SOS show, and today we're going to be discussing the NBA preview show for the Golden State Warriors. This one is for the Yay area. This one's for Dub Nation. We're going to be discussing the Warriors for the upcoming 2024-2025 season. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, so first and foremost, we're going to do a quick rundown for the Warriors 2023-2024 campaign. Last season, the Warriors finished 46-36 in the regular season. Good enough for 10th in the Western Conference, which is an unlucky position given the fact that the 10th seed does not won a single game in the play-in tournament. So, unfortunately, the Warriors ended up in that 10th spot where they ended up losing to the Sacramento Kings. Their season ended in Sacramento, where they ended the Sacramento season the year before in the first round of the playoffs. Unfortunately, the Warriors ended up succumbing to the Sacramento Kings in a season where they ended up finishing 8th in offensive rating, 15th in defensive rating, 11th in net rating, and 12th in pace. Last season, the Warriors continued to see flashes of brilliance from Stephen Curry at age 35, averaging 26 points per game on 40% shooting from the three-point line. He shot 92% from the free throw line with a true shooting percentage of 61%. However, in what would end up being the last season of the Warriors' core big three, alongside his fellow Splash brother Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, multi-time Defensive Player of the Year award winner, the chemistry of the big three ended up derailing the team last season, given that Draymond Green's antics against Rudy Gobert and Jusuf Nurkic ended up costing him 16 games in suspension by the NBA. And in the Western Conference, where the 6th-seeded Suns ended up with 49 wins, and the 10th-seeded Warriors finished with 46 wins, a 3-game difference between finishing outside of the play-in and finishing in the 10th spot. The 8-8 record in the 16 games that Draymond Green missed ended up costing the Warriors badly, and where they missed. Now, as we close the chapter on last season, now we're going to look forward to the upcoming 2024-2025 season. And right now, we're going to give you the number one thing to look forward to this upcoming season for the Warriors. So let's get excited, Warrior fans. The number one thing for Warrior fans to look forward to this upcoming season is the emergence of Jonathan Kuminga as a second option for the Warriors. Last season, towards the second half of the year, and definitely after the new year, Jonathan Kuminga definitely started to come along offensively. He raised his scoring average to 16 points a game on the season. He did average 11 field goal attempts last season. With the departure of Klay Thompson, look for that field goal attempt number to go up this season. And if he can build on to the 32% shooting from the three-point line this upcoming season, the Warriors will definitely be able to compete in the Western Conference this upcoming season. The major issue that could prevent the Warriors from competing in this upcoming season is, can Draymond Green get out of his own way when it comes to his off-the-court antics? Going back to 2 seasons earlier, after the 2022 championship, the Jordan Poole punch incident derailed the chemistry of the team all season long, and he had to work all that year to rebuild the trust back on that team. And furthermore, the answers of last season, coming up off of the Jordan Poole incident, Jordan Poole gets moved. You can't put the blame on Jordan Poole anymore. He's not lingering around the team anymore. And yet Draymond still gets into other incidents with Rudy Gobert and Jusuf Nurkic. That gives them a 16-game suspension that ends up costing the team during a tight Western Conference where there's only a few games separating within the standings. So, can Draymond, Steph, and Steve Kerr, Mike Dunleavy, the GM, can they all rework and be able to come to a meeting of the minds when it comes to Draymond and be able to curtail his emotions to where it doesn't affect it to where he can still be able to be an antagonist on the court, but also make sure that he doesn't get suspended off the court. The breakout player for this upcoming season is going to be Brandon Podziemski. Last season, Podziemski averaged 9 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, and 3 assists per game. Last season, when he started to get more playing time, he started to stuff the stat sheet with points, rebounds, and assists. And they want him, and the Warriors organization is looking for him to emerge as kind of like a person that can stuff the stat sheet, like a Sean Livingston or a la Andre Iguodala. He doesn't have as much traits defensively as Andre Iguodala, but he can make plays as far as passing like Livingston, and he can be active on the boards like Livingston and Iguodala. So, and if he can continue to emerge offensively, look for Brandon Podziemski to be a key contributor going forward in the Warriors organization and within the future. As far as the ceiling and the floor for this upcoming season for the Warriors, it's really going to come down to, Can Andrew Wiggins emerge defensively and be the anchor on the perimeter defensively? And can he be the ringleader as far as getting the Warriors back to playing the kind of defense that they need to be playing, that they played at when they were at a championship level? One of the main ingredients that's missing when it comes to the Warriors dynasty is that the Warriors were consistently in the top 5 in defensive rating during their championship run. If Andrew can get back to playing the type of defense that he played during the 2022 championship run, I think he, alongside DeAnthony Melton, who I think can also contribute defensively and also be able to be a 3-and-D guy for the Warriors, I think both of those guys can be able to be the anchor defensively on the perimeter, and then still have Draymond cover the back end to get the Warriors to be playing the kind of defense that they played in previous seasons. Furthermore, in addition to Brandon Podziemski, the Warriors also need Trayce Jackson-Davis, their second-round pick for last season. He did show flashes stepping up, but he does need to provide some size for the Warriors and be able to compete in the Western Conference, going up against certain teams like Minnesota and Oklahoma City, who are going to have a certain amount of size, and also along with Denver with the Joker as well. So in order to be able to compete with the Western Conference, they are going to be out to bang a little bit with the big boys, even though the Warriors do typically play small ball. For Stephen Curry, I do think he'll be able to continue to play at a high level, but can Draymond still be able to play defense at an elite level? And can he be able to contain himself off the court to be able to prevent himself from getting suspended? As far as the ceiling, and also the Warriors definitely needed a key contribution from Buddy Hield to be able to make up the deficit for Klay Thompson when it comes to his three-point shooting. The Warriors definitely need Klay to step up from three-point line and definitely need Buddy Hield to be able to step up to replace Klay from the three-point line. And if Jonathan Kuminga can raise his average up to 18 points per game, I think that's where the Warriors can definitely be able to get to the ceiling of this team, which I think could be a 7-8 seed. Now, the floor, if the Warriors don't put it together defensively, and if Steph starts to slow down a little bit, or Draymond starts to slow down a little bit, and they don't get some of the key contributions from the veterans like Buddy Hield, and the young players don't come along as much as we thought that they did, then the floor for this team, unfortunately, would be outside the play-in, being in the 11th spot, given that there's some other up-and-coming teams like San Antonio and Houston in the Western Conference. Sacramento also got better in the addition of DeMar DeRozan. So the increased competition in the Western Conference and the increased depth in the Western Conference, alongside if the young players don't come along and if the veterans start to show signs of age, that's what's going to potentially derail the Warriors into not being a play-in team and being outside the play-in. So the ceiling for this team, I believe, is a 7-8 spot, given that the Western Conference is so tough. But the floor, I believe, is finishing outside the play-in.